Hello, how do you deal with work irritants? How many of you have quit your job just to get your attitude back?
If that question really hits home for you, I just want you to know you are so not alone in this. This kind of workplace frustration, it's not some kind of personal failing. It's a deeply human experience that so many of us share.
All right, let's really get into this. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those little daily paper cuts to your spirit. Things like totally chaotic processes, maybe that one difficult colleague or, a boss who just seems impossible. These things, they're not just annoying, they are genuinely exhausting, and they just build and build over time.
So the big question is, how do we deal with all of this without just hitting a breaking point? Well, it really starts with understanding how you respond to stress. From a psychological standpoint, this is all about our coping mechanisms. So let's walk through 4 really foundational ideas that can help you start building that resilience.
First on the list, healthy boundaries. And look, this isn't about being difficult or refusing to be a team player, not at all. It's much more like a fundamental act of professional self-preservation. It's you, clearly and calmly, just defining where your work ends and someone else's begins.
Okay, next up is this idea of your sphere of control. And what's so powerful about this one is how it protects your mental energy. Think about it. When you consciously decide to pour your energy only into the things you can actually change, you stop draining your battery on unwinnable battles. And that brings us right to direct communication. I know, this one can feel a little scary. It can be really daunting. But honestly, so often the simplest, most direct path to fixing something is just having a courageous, respectful, and super clear conversation. You'd be surprised how much it can solve.
And finally, we have what might be the biggest one of all, reassessing your priorities. This is where you make a really conscious choice. It's about taking a step back and honestly asking yourself, is the emotional cost of this job actually worth the reward? It's all about empowering yourself to take control of your career path.
Okay, so we've got the big ideas. Now let's get practical. How do we turn these concepts into a real toolkit? We're going to call these your practical shields, 3 strategies you can use right away for some immediate relief.
So your first line of defense? Let's call it the stress shield. The whole point of this is to create some personal space. We're talking both physically and mentally to stop that tension from ever building up to begin with.
So how do you actually build this shield? It's way simpler than it sounds. You could just pop on your headphones. That's a great signal that you're focused. Or take a quick 5-minute walk to just reset your brain. Even using a simple, polite phrase like, I can't really get into this right now, but how about we connect later? See? Each of these little things is an action. It's a shield that gives you back a little bit of that crucial sense of control.
Shield number 2 is all about directing your energy with purpose. It's a shift, really. It's about being strategic with where you put your focus, moving from just reacting to everything to being proactive.
And the key to this one is a little mental sorting exercise. You can literally do this. Grab a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On one side, write down everything you can control. On the other, everything you can't. Now, for everything on that can't control list, your only job, your only goal is to change your reaction to it. And a really powerful internal thought to use here is, this isn't personal. This isn't about me. All right, our third shield is an absolutely fantastic way to actually retrain your brain's focus. We'll call it the small wins system, and it's designed to do one thing. Shift your attention away from all those negative little interactions and onto your own progress, your own accomplishments.
The whole secret here is building momentum. Just break your day into smaller, manageable chunks. And every time you finish one, give yourself a tiny reward. Seriously, a quick stretch, a cup of tea, whatever works. What you're doing is creating this positive feedback loop of achievement. And that literally shrinks the mental real estate you give to the annoyances. They just start to seem less significant because you're so focused on what you're actually getting done. Okay, now what about those moments of really intense frustration? For that, we have a more advanced psychological tool. This is a really powerful technique for finding instant calm right when you feel that irritation start to bubble up. So what do you do in that split second when you feel totally overwhelmed by an irritant? Is there a way to just disconnect from that immediate emotional spike? Well, yes. Yes, there is. It's called the distant perspective trick, and the goal is simple, to create some psychological distance, a bit of a buffer, between you and the stressful situation. When you do that, it just dials down its emotional power over you.
Here's how you do it, in 4 simple steps. Step 1, visualize the whole situation as if you're watching it in a movie. You're just an observer in the audience. Step 2, ask yourself this really important question. Is this going to matter in a day, a week, a month? Almost always the answer is no. Step 3, take a half second to consider the other person's reality. Maybe they're stressed, just having a terrible day. This helps build a little empathy. And finally, step 4, tell yourself, this is a situation, it is not a personal attack.
So, why does this little trick work so well? It's actually pretty fascinating. Psychologically, what you're doing is interrupting your brain's automatic fight-or-flight emotional reaction. You're basically forcing a shift from the emotional, reactive part of your brain over to the logical, thinking part. And that completely changes how you interpret the whole thing.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of great defensive strategies. But what if these aren't just minor irritants? What happens when the situation is genuinely toxic? Well, this last part is all about making an empowered choice for your long-term well-being.
And listen, this might be the single most important thing you hear today. If these problems are constant, if they're pervasive, if they are toxic, then recognizing that it might be time to leave is not a failure. It is a valid, strong, and deeply strategic choice you make for your own mental health.
And planning an exit doesn't have to mean just storming out the door one day. It can be a really measured, thoughtful process. It could start with talking to HR. Maybe it means exploring a transfer to a different team inside your company. Or it can mean starting a quiet, confident search for something new somewhere else.
So I want to leave you with a question to think about. After everything we've talked about, what is one small, totally achievable boundary that you can set for yourself this week? Just one small thing to start reclaiming a little bit of your peace and your sense of control.